Hi, it's Sandy here again, and just a little video here on just taking like the the edging of the leather. So when we go to burnish it, it's going to be more like a rounded edge rather than a square edge. Because over time, what will happen is the leather edge will start to kind of lift a little bit. So by using a little edging tool and then burnishing it, then I like to use a Toconol as well when it comes to burnishing it, but this is before pre-staining it, because before I put the dye on it, I like to kind of take off the corners now. So yeah, whilst it's nice and dry, because once you start kind of putting like the dye on it and it gets a bit wet, it's a bit harder. So when it's nice and dry, it's a bit easier for using the edging tool. And the edging tool is this little gizmo here. As you can see, it's just got a little kind of blade. You can see it better there, and then what happens is it just kind of goes onto the edge and it just chamfers it down a bit. So I'm just going to set the camera up here. Okay, right. It's like when you're doing anything with some kind of a tool that's going to be cutting, shaving or slicing or something, then I always like to give them a little sharpen. Here we have some Jeweler's Rouge, and we need a strop, so I've got a scrap bit of leather, and we just like put some of the Jeweler's Rouge onto it. Put that back, and then all we're doing then is just kind of giving it a few little swipes on the Jeweler's Rouge. And then I can just show you in this corner bit here a little bit. Then okay. So there you go. That's the top side done. So just gonna flip it over and do the bottom side as well. I do have to say, when you can do it in one clean swoop, it's quite nice. But anyway, so that's quite a nice, quick, simple job, and as you can kind of see, a bit hard to see here, it gives it a little bit more of a rounded edge, because then when we go to burnish it, we use some Toconol, and we also have to have water, because the fibers on top here, the leather, they can be a little bit rough. So you can either use a dauber or you can use your finger with some water, and as you wet the leather, we use the burnisher, and well, it's called burnishing, but we use a slicker, and it's got different size grooves with different size of leather. So once we do that, we kind of start rubbing it when you wet the fibres down, and it kind of smooths them off because of the friction. And once we do that, you can feel it's a lot smoother and glassy. And then we put some Tokonol on it, and we give it another burnish, and it goes so smooth and glassy. But before we'd even do that, we're going to, the next process will be putting some dye on this belt. So before we do it, I'll probably maybe even now. So that's a nice little edging tool. Put that back, put our sticker back, and I should have a little scrap . Sometimes these little daubers, they can be a little bit furry, so sometimes you can just manipulate it a bit by just kind of pulling the excess kind of hair off the wool dauber. Some people get a little lighter and kind of burn off the little kind of hairs because they want the hairs going onto the product, but this is just going to be a little tester. So this is a dark brown. And what we're going to do is we're going to do kind of half and half, because whenever I'm doing a project and they want a certain colour, it normally takes 2, 3, 4 coats depending on the kind of colour you want to achieve. So I'm just going to use all I can from this dauber. Okay. And then we'll use a little bit of the antique gel. You can just put a little bit onto there. And then the only thing is with the gel, you have to give the excess a rub off. So I'm just going to use an old rag and we'll just rub off the excess. So there you go. We've got the, I'll show you the two ones we have there. So we've got the dark brown stain, and we've also the dye, I should say, and we've also got the gel. Now that's just with one kind of coating, and if I just kind of maybe try giving another, just to use everything off this dauber. We'll just give the excess a little rub off. Okay. Personally, I quite like the antique saddle tan, the gel. I think by a couple of coats of that'll be quite nice. Whereas I quite like the dark brown as well. But if we can look at the belt and put it on the belt, it's like, what kind of colour should we go for? Or I might do the initials, the PJS, in the dark brown, and then use the gel. So who knows? Let's see what happens. Anyway, okay, that was just a little sampling. Okay, thanks guys. Bye.